That's not good. And that's also the reason why I'm going to talk today about a bladder. So, but before we do that, if you're interested in the dirty stories, there will be a link to my book called Bloody Crosses. It's in Dutch, so if you're interested, take a look at it by the link in the description. So, a drinking bladder. This one is one that I bought in the time when I was younger and I did airsoft, and it made sense in that time. But I'm going to tell you now, don't buy a drinking bladder because it's not worth it. There are more disadvantages than advantages, which I'm going to talk about. And yeah, all the people will say, no, that's not true. Listen to this whole video and you will know that I'm right. Alright, first I'm going to talk about the advantages, or so-called advantages that I've heard people made. First of all, they say it's more tactical than hanging around some drinking bottle or field bottle around your hip or in your backpack. So their idea is, if you're going to use a bladder, you just have to drink and continue. But I would say, if you're in a survival situation, whether it's a bug out, evacuation or whatever, I don't think it's a good idea. Because you're going to take breaks anyway, you're not going to be like a special force operator running around tactically stealthy. You're going to have to interact with people, you have to move with other people, and yeah, that takes away the tactical part. You're going to take breaks for example, if you're going hiking, every hour you should take a break. So you're going to sit down anyway, or refill up with water and take it off. And that's so one of the so-called advantages, which I would say it's really not that big of an advantage in my opinion. Another thing that I heard is, I'm going to take it off, is to use it as a head pillow. I've made people heard this claim, but first of all, it's only this big. So if you're going to push on it, you're going to get squeezed in your head and it's going to push on your ears. Secondly, if you're going to lay your head on this while you're hiking, camping, or during a bug out, the pressure of the weight of your head, especially when when you have been using it a lot, like you saw, the pressure inside starts to push through the sucking system, even though it's supposed not to do that. But this is an older model, but it's something that always could happen. And what will happen is not only when you lay your head on top of it, but also when you're putting into your backpack, the pressure, it will start to leak, your gear gets wet, your clothing gets wet, especially during colder times in a tent or a shelter, and yeah, it starts leaking. Yeah, that's really bad when you get damp, cold, condensation. So no, that's really, really bad. Another so-called advantage is that it's how do you say this? It has some technical advantages like a mole system, but that is only because this bladder is inside of this mole system. So if you just take a bladder alone, I will guarantee it will start to leak, burst, being cut, degrade, get shoveled. It will not last for very long. So if you're going to take a drinking bladder, just put it in one of these. But this is also a small backpack. You can put it on a mole system of your military backpack, or you can hang things on top of it. But I don't think it's really worth it because that's extra weight. And if you're going to sit down by water or a water source, you have to take it all off, click it all off, and fill it up. That's not something with the water bottle. You just take it out, you fill it up, you do some filtration or a filtering system, and you got water directly. With this, you have to take it off, also take it out of your backpack or whatever, and fill it up like that. So a mole system and this tactical shit is not really worth it, in my opinion. Again, another thing what I heard is, because you can play, some of these drinking bladders have a filter system inside of them, or at the end of the nozzle where you drink. But yeah, I don't think it's really that big of a deal, because I would rather have a filter system that I can take out of my backpack, use it, put it back, instead of having it onto my drinking system. And when one of the two fails, whether it's my bladder bag or the filtration system because it's being used too much or not for the right type of contamination, yeah, then you're double fucked in my opinion. And another thing is lightweight. Well, there are different sizes and shapes of a water bladder, but in my opinion, this is a little bit. I know it might sound weird, but too much water. That's a lot of weight that you're carrying, and that's filled already, by the way. So yeah, I mean it's fully filled. It should have more water than this, but I've always learned this is the right amount of weight to carry and that you're going to consume till you find most water sources as around here in Belgium or in most forest areas, I would say. But yeah, this I would say it's a little bit too much weight, especially when you're loaded up for a bug out with a bug out bag. So and all the gear around the bladder that you're using, that's extra weight that is not necessarily if you're having one of these, and this is multifunctional, so you can boil water by putting this on top of the fire. Alright, now we're going to the downsides. So imagine what these are going to be. First of all, what I don't like about a bladder system is the maintenance and the cleaning that you have to do. With this, just wash it, boil it, whatever you have to do to kill bacteria, and that's it. With this, you have to use a special cleaning kit to clean out the nozzles, clean out the insides of this, and yeah, that could be a lot of hassle, and the cleaning could degrade some of your particles where its lifespan will be less than you think. So cleaning and maintenance is a real hassle with this. It also depends on the kind of model that you're buying. Some are better, some are worse, but in general they are they are not that much lasting. And these kind of metal bottles, I have one of my fill bottles is from '76, still works fine. Alright, next thing is bursting. Like I said before, if you're going to put this not only in your backpack, if you have a lot of gear, it will start to crush it, burst it, and there is more chance to burst, and then all your gear is wet. If you put it as a head pillow, it can burst yet again. And by the way, if you're going to use this as a head pillow and it's almost empty, then it's no use. Alright, what was I saying? Even if it's outside of a backpack, like with a mall system, it's hanging on the outside of your backpack. If you have to take cover, if you fall, or if you lean against something, yeah, there's still going to be pressure, and sometimes that pressure could be less strong, it will burst, and now you have a leaky water bladder. So yeah, that's a danger that you don't have. If this is being crushed, it's very sturdy, it will not start to tear up that easily in contrary to this. Alright, next thing is, like I said, if you go easy cuts. If you're walking around in the forest and it is on the outside of your backpack and you walk through thorns, pointy rocks, if you are going inside of an abandoned building and there is glass shards, sharp pieces of wood around from damage, it will start to pierce directly, and it is even with a mole system like this that it can protect even more, but it can even be pierced like that. So yet again, I would not recommend it. Another thing that I always hated about this is the filling up, because usually I have a filter system and I don't have to bring this in contact with the water. I just use the filter to pour it directly in and it's clean. But with this, it's a little bit unhandy. When you start to fill it up, yeah, it's a little bit difficult to hold it open because it's flexible, it will start to twist. Even if water is coming inside of it, there will be always water leaking outside of it, contaminating. If you touch it again and it contaminates your hands, you use your hands for drinking, eating, or opening the nozzle. With your dirty hands, even if you use a filter system, there will be always something falling right next to it. You touch this and you get bacteria in that way. So with this, I don't have to touch the sides that my lips will touch. I just have to pull it off and I can drink it like that without ever having to really touch with dirty hands the parts that your lips will touch. So that's another thing that you need to watch out for. Another thing, freezing. If you're going to use this during freezing temperatures, I can assure you this will start to freeze very fast. It will be damaged much faster if you're going to use this, especially when it's you see, it's actually isolated and also for protection, but it will start to freeze nonetheless and it will damage the whole system. So that's another bad thing. The other bad thing is heat. I'm not talking about really talking about heat like when it's over 40 degrees. Yeah, that's not really the best temperatures for plastics, but these are usually made to last a little bit in such temperatures without too much damage. But if it's going to be continually used in that way, yeah, it will degrade much faster. And if you have it on the outside and you sit close to a campfire, yeah, if you don't have a protection system like this, whole system around your bladder, and one of the coals flies around, lands on top of the drinking bladder, yeah, then it's a hole pierced usually inside of it, depending on how big the piece of coal was that was flying around from the campfire. So another thing that you need to watch out for, like I also said, a disease spreader. And I'm not talking about the touching with your dirty hands. I'm talking about if you find someone who is in need, for example, somebody who has who is dehydrated. What you're going to do, you're going to help them, give them some water. But if that person has a disease and you say drink from it, from this nozzle, then you have to disinfect the whole system outside and inside before you're going to drink again. So with this you can say drink and you can give it without actually even touching them, or give it in a cup and give that cup for the person to drink. So, and you can clean that, disinfect that easier. So that's another thing that you need to worry about, especially with sexual transmitted diseases or epidemics when they are around. So that's another thing you need to take in account during a survival situation, by the way. Another thing is it's bulky. As you can see, this is nice, a certain format, and it will not crush inside of something. It's always the same shape and it will reinforce if you have a bug out bag or something like that. When something is pressing against the sides, yeah, that will not be a problem. But with this, because it's so bulky and fluttering, then it can bend in ways that will be negative, like if you perhaps can see. Yeah, there you see. By just doing this, water squirts out from this, and you would say, but you have to make it really tight. This is as tight as it gets, and still water by the pressure bursts outside of it. Early in the video you saw it coming from this, and that was only the pressure from bending over, and that pressure from the straps and my back against the back did this leaking. So another thing that I don't really like about this, and I noticed this during my airsoft games when I use this for tactical maneuvers, is this thing would always get in the way. But many people would say, yeah, you don't put it away in the right way. But yeah, that's the whole point I thought about being tactical, that you can just drink it. But the truth is, during a high stressful situation, especially when there is violence or stealth included, you don't always have time to get everything in order. You just perhaps have to drink, put it away, and move on. But with this, in certain ways that I walked, jumped, crawled, climbed, this nozzle was getting hooked onto stuff, or just got loose and started dangling around when I was walking around. And sometimes even when I put it away somewhere, this because I was moving, it got pressure on the nozzle, and this started to pull, and that gave pressure around this, and also could damage the system if it gets pulled too hard if you're doing some sort of task like carrying wood or doing something with your shoulder, climbing, and it starts to scrape or gets tangled. That's really bad. So I hope I gave you enough reasons to never use a drinking bladder, and just keep it simple. The more simple you, this is the thing that I want you to take from this video. Keep it simple. Just a metal bottle, and you don't have a problem, and it can even be used 50 years later. This, after rough use, you'll be lucky if it's even survives one encounter, let alone if you're going to repeat and use it. I know some people will say, yeah, you just have to take care of things, but this is my thing. During survival situation, I want reliance. I want something that is durable and I can count on every time, that I don't need to put too much maintenance or sophisticated maintenance and that stuff. And with a bladder like this, you have these kind of problems. So leave a like, subscribe, and if you have any experience or bad experience that you can back this up, please let me know. Other people must know so they don't give away too much money. These things are kind of cheap, but there are models that are more expensive, and that money can be used for better things, in my opinion, for your survival preparedness. So please let me know in the comments all the things that went wrong with you, like perhaps things that I don't mention yet, or something that you perhaps think that I was a little bit too harsh on. Please let me know in the comments. I'm always eager to learn. So like, subscribe, all the good stuff, and see you in the next video. Cheers!